Hello everyone, I am Tyagi and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to explain you the second part of the chapter Lost Spring Stories of a Stolen Childhood written by Anne Jung. So name of the second part of the story is I Want to Drive a Car. Anne Jung describes in this story about the condition of the Bengal making families. The main character of this story is Mukesh. Mukesh who wants to drive a car or wants to be a motor mechanic. This is the flow chart of the chapter. The main character is Mukesh. Mukesh who belongs to the Bengal making family. Anis Jung, the author, Mukesh father, Mukesh elder brother, wife of Mukesh elder brother, Savita, a young girl, an old woman who told us the sanctity of the Bengals, and Mukesh grandmother. Let's come to the story of the chapter. The chapter starts when the author came across Mukesh in Firozabad. His family was engaged in Bengal making. Every other family in Firozabad is engaged in Bengal making. Mukesh didn't want to continue his profession, the profession of Bengal making. He dared to dream and he wanted to become a motor mechanic and or he wanted to drive a car. The environment of the area where where the person they were making bangles was very hazardous. The small kids had to work in front of the hot furnaces with high temperature. They had to work in dingy cells without air and light. That's why they lost their eyesight before their adolescence. After their acquaintance, Mukesh took the author to his house. His house was a half built shack. Shack means just like a hut. It had crumbling walls and wobbly doors. Crumbling walls means जिसका प्लास्टर थोड़ा उखड़ा हुआ होता है and the wobbly doors जर्जर जिसमें से चर की आवाज आती है. Hanging doors. Mukesh's elder brother's wife was cooking food, who was a very frail and weak woman. She covered her face with veil when the elders entered into the house, and the people or the elders called her as daughter-in-law. Mukesh's father was weak and lost his eyesight before adolescence. He worked hard but couldn't send his two sons to schools. Whatever he could only teach them the art of making bangles, and he built a house but he couldn't repair it. Mukesh's grandmother expressed her belief in destiny. She said that on account of their karam means deed हमारे जो काम है जो हम वर्क करते हैं they were born in Bengal making family. No man could change what was ordained by fate. यानी भाग्य ने हमें हमारे बारे में जो लिख दिया है कोई भी उसको चेंज नहीं कर सकता है. Then Savita, a young girl who wore a pink dress, sitting beside an old woman, was soldering the pieces of glass. जो छोटे छोटे ग्लास जो पीसेस हैं कांच के उनको सोल्ड कर रही है, वेल्डिंग कर रही है. Her hands moved mechanically and perfect in her work. She didn't know the sanctity and piousness of the Bengal. Though she was perfect in making the bangles, but she was not aware about the piousness of the Bengals. Bangles are the symbol of the woman Suhag. The old woman who was sitting beside Savita shared that she had not enjoyed even one full meal in her entire life. So it means they are so poverty stricken. Her husband knew nothing except bangle making. He made a house for the family. He had a roof over his head, at least. It was, it meant a lot. Bangles could be seen everywhere in each house. Authors saw boys and girls, almost 20,000 children working in front of the furnaces with high temperature. All the Bengal makers, they lived in poverty. Generation after generation, they made bangles. Nothing had changed with the passage of time. The author asked Mukesh, why not organize yourself into a cooperative? Mukesh replied, if they did so, they would be beaten and dragged to the jail for doing something illegal. Because the small kids were doing the work there, this is called the child labor. For the punishment of child labor, the police will drag them to the jail. The Bengal Makers, they found themselves in the clutches of the middleman, the policeman, the keepers of law, the bureaucrats, sahukars, and the politicians. No one changed their condition and no one helped them. But Mukesh was formed to learn how to drive a car. For that, he wanted to go far away to the garage to learn. Again, at last, the author asked a question to Mukesh. Do you also dream of flying a plane? This time, Mukesh denied that he didn't want to learn how to fly an aeroplane. There's an incident. At the starting of the chapter, the author asked Mukesh, what do you want to do in future? Mukesh replied with the eye contact of the author that he wanted to drive a car. But at last, he didn't had an eye contact with the author because he didn't want to learn how to fly an aeroplane. So this is all about the chapter. Thank you very much for listening me. Hope you got it.